All right, I got a good one for you today. I want to talk about PACE, P-A-C-E, and what that stands for. P-A-C-E, Primary, Alternative, Contingency, and Emergency. This is how you need to think about if something bad was to happen in the next several months, given something happening around November, something happening after that, something happening that we're not expecting, the crazy world we live in today. You need to make sure that you have plans in place just in case something terrible was to happen, or World War III kicks off. All of these are very likely. Now, I don't know about the word. All of these are very probable, extremely probable. I don't know if I want to use the word likely. The likely thing that happens is we just descend into a third world, and it's just a 5 to 10 years of just, and we go into major economic depression, and no shots are ever fired, and never goes nuclear and things like that. And America just loses its standing on the world stage. But minus that, I think there could be events that really push us towards a scenario where you can't stay in your same situation. Now, I'll give you a real basic rundown, kind of an outline of mine. And if you're like me, you should think about this. So if you live in a neighborhood and you have a neighborhood house and you're surrounded by people, unless you have a really good area and you really know all your neighbors, your plan might need to be to get out of there. Might need to be get out of there. Bug out. You might have to bug out. Now, if you do have to bug out and that's your plan, step one of that plan is everyone in that household and your neighbors, the neighbors you really like, and, like-minded neighbors, and if they're your buddies, which a few of my neighbors are my buddies, there needs to be if the grid was to go down or if communication was to fail, there needs to be the consensus that we will rally back home. If for some reason you're ditching that house and you're going to somewhere else, everyone in that household, let's say all your household members drive, and if someone was to go down, you guys all meet up at your secondary location. That's fine. Just have a plan in place for that. My plan is everyone goes to the house. Everyone goes home. If it's still there, go back to that area, and then we rally from there. That's the primary. And honestly, for the primary, my primary idea is that you write out what you can at your house. I mean, that should be everyone's kind of the idea of bug in. Everyone should hopefully say, I have enough stuff on hand to get me through a mini pandemic, or I don't know. If the grid goes down, all bets are off. But you need to have an idea of what you're going to be doing, and it probably needs to happen once you guys have all rallied at one certain place, which is probably your primary home, which is fine. Your alternative plan would be ditch that house. For some reason, you can't go to that plan. You can't go to that house. You can't get to that rally point. So you would need to have, in my opinion, an alternative rally point. So if you have a secondary location up in the mountains or somewhere, or maybe it's someone's farm. If you have someone who has a 50-acre piece of land, and you can say, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead, since the world's getting crazy and since the political climate is kind of cuckoo, I'm going to go ahead and have a few things pre-positioned over there. Maybe you could talk to that person if you're good. Maybe you work out some kind of deal. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You help me out. These people need to be brothers in the Lord, or for sure. But if you can, maybe you could say, hey, I want to set up a deal with you just in case something happens. I'm coming here. If you have godparents for your kids, You know, maybe your godparents for your kids, maybe they're situated a little bit better. You need to be surrounding yourself with people who are pretty squared away. And if you're the least squared away of them all, then you need to definitely make plans that rely on more squared away people. I don't know about the word rely, but if you're trying to lone wolf this thing, you need to remember that no man is an island, and that's a really stupid idea. Absolutely stupid, unless it's just you. Unless you're the kind of person who can disappear for 9 months and go hike the Appalachian Trail, and you say, that's my plan, I'm just going to go bug out and hike the Appalachian Trail. Go do that. I don't think there's a lot of people that can do that. I think there's a lot of people that tout that they can do that, and they can say, oh, I could definitely disappear for 9 months and no one would ever miss me and I would never miss anyone, and, you know, I just kiss the world goodbye. I think that's a load of hockey. But, again, there are exceptions, but the rule is that ain't working. All right. So the alternative, I would say, for me, would have a alternative rally point. So that would be a good one for a secondary location. And I think everyone should have a secondary location, especially if you are in a neighborhood and you are in the city and logistically it's just a nightmare where you're at, and you are limited on your resources and you don't have any privacy. I think that's a good idea. Okay, for contingency, and I haven't really thought about all these, so I'm kind of going off the hook a little bit. For your contingency, what I would say for contingency is that person that is more squared away than you. Maybe something even walking distance. So if for some reason you were to go to your house or you were to go somewhere else and something really bad was to happen, I'm thinking vehicle is down. If you had a true tertiary plan, third plan. Maybe your third plan could be based upon someone you know around you within walking distance. That would be a better place to go. I give you the reason why the primary couldn't work. Primary doesn't work for storms. If something happens with your house and you live in a place where your house could be flooded or something like that, then you need to go ahead and say, hey, listen, if the house is not a good rally point, then we'll all meet up at the secondary location. If for some reason the secondary location doesn't work out, you need to go ahead and have a third area. And if that one is designated as well, and that becomes your buddy with the 50-acre farm that's not too far from you, that's a great place to go. All right, at the back end of that, for emergency, I would say emergency would probably be what you have on you, what you have on your persons. At that point, you are probably a lone wolf. You need to take your own survival into your own hands, and that's the true emergency. In a true emergency, you are on your own. There is no one coming to help you. What you have on you. So in those kind of situations, if you drive in a vehicle every day, that vehicle is an extension of your home. You need to make sure in your vehicle that you have all the assets you need, all the survival stuff that you need, or all that you can. You need to have a bag of tricks in your vehicle to help you get out of a pinch. So having water is a great idea. It's an extension of your home. If you're going to say, yeah, well, I'm going to have water put back in my house, well, then you should have some water put back in your vehicle. You know, they make jugs that are great for vehicles that, you know, you can hit a big bump and it won't explode. I have one in mine. I think they're called water bricks. They hold about, I think, 2 gallons. They're fantastic. How you'd hike with that, I don't know. Probably go ahead and fill up your water bladder. You need to go ahead and have a good day bag full of all your goodies in it. You can build out each one according to your scenario. If you are working down in the city and you live out in the country, I've had this happen before while I was working 2 hours away and I had to get through a city, and I said, well, today's a sketch day, and if something was to happen, I would want to make sure that I have everything in order for me to get home. So some people have this idea of a bug out bag, but I think the idea of a get home bag is a little better. And you can use that if you had to get to your primary location, or even your secondary, or your tertiary, which would be your contingency. And in the emergency, what you have on you is what you have on you. So if you have some cash, if you have some things like that, all the stuff, I don't want to do a big breakdown of what all needs to be in your bag, because everyone is different. You can cater it, you can make it yourself. When someone builds a Jeep, they build it to their purposes. When someone builds a Toyota, they build it to their purposes. When you build your bag, you can build it to your purposes. Build it to your strengths and your weaknesses. If you are not a type of, I'm going to go bivouac in the woods, you might not need a machete and a saw where you can go build a log cabin in the woods and do the Dick Prinicky thing on your own and go restart in Alaska. Most of us aren't like that. But if you are, then hey, you should have that stuff with you. Go ahead and whittle your own handles and just bring a few of your axe heads with you. I mean, that's pretty dang impressive. But there's a ultra small minority that's in that group. So, hey, once you have all this stuff, you need to go ahead and be organized as well. So if you have it all and you're not organized, it's stupid. And then also train with it. Practice with it. Hey, go for a hike. Throw your pack on and go for a hike. Go for a ruck march. Go step on the treadmill when you're at the gym. And if you're walking on the treadmill with no incline, you're wasting your sweet freaking time. Biggest waste of time ever. Sitting on a treadmill at zero, flat as can be. You're doing nothing for yourself. I went out 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we hit some hills out in this pasture. And I walked up the hill with a 30-pound pack on my back. Walked up the hill and felt zero fatigue. Now, if it was a really steep hill, I would have felt fatigue, but I didn't feel any fatigue going up a hill. And by the way, hills will get you, especially if you don't train, if you don't practice for them. So make sure you stay in shape. But all that being said, if you don't go ahead and have the treadmill, whatever you're working out, if you're not hitting any hills or incline, and I'd recommend full incline, if you're not doing that, you are wasting your time. You're not building any muscle. I don't have pencil. I don't have chicken legs. I don't have little tiny baby chicken legs because I do the incline. I do the stairs and I do the incline. No problem. Have I mentioned that I do the incline? I don't think I've mentioned it enough. Okay, I think I have pretty much covered everything for today. Make sure you have a PACE plan, a primary, an alternative, a contingency, and an emergency plan. And make sure that the ones around you also know that same one. So that way, if you're on a road trip and you say, hey guys, what's the primary plan just in case the Schumer was to hit the fan? And they can say, go here. Okay, if for some reason you can't go there, where do you go from there? And they say, well, we know we're going to X. We know we're going to this place. Okay, well, let's say, for example, you can't get there. What would be the alternative? If you can't go to 1 and 2, not the alternative, what would be the contingency? P.A.C.E. What would be the contingency? That would be someone probably local. Probably your buddy with the 50-acre farm. Emergency is they're on their own. And that's going to come down to one of those things where you tell your loved ones, you tell your family, you tell your friends, you say, hey, listen, you're responsible for yourself at this point, and if we can get some communication and we can get some things reestablished, we will meet up at a later time and place. But until that happens, it just ain't going to work. Now, here's another thing. You could also have something happen with your primary residence, your primary home, and you'd be forced to go to your secondary location. Let's say that place is 2 hours away. Let's say if you live in Maine and you live in a city in Maine, and you say, hey, we got a lake house, we got a camp up at a lake house, or you live up, in New England, and you got a place that's 2 hours away. It's going to take a lot to get up there. You're going to have to rely on your emergency setup in order for you to get to your alternative location. So make sure that you've worked through all of that, because they all kind of tie onto each other. And then don't have all your eggs in one basket, because you could have a fire, you could have a storm, you could have a flood, you could have fallout, you could have a nuke go off. You know, there's no telling what could happen, and you could be literally all your eggs in one basket, your whole, I'm going to stay here at this primary location, it's going to be mine forever. It's just a foolish plan for you to have all your eggs in one basket, and it could really end up hurting your family in the long run. So make sure you have a plan, have it in place, have everyone around you know that plan, and make sure that you stay ready. Hey, this is a very long soapbox for today. Thank you.